Hey, this is Don from Padlock Technologies again with another video. Today we're going to talk about global secure access because I got a question on it. What it is, from a technical standpoint, I'm going to show you what it looks like in Entra, and then I did a video of what it looks like from a client standpoint that I'm going to show you after I do the whiteboarding in the Entra console, and then we're going to compare it, right? So let's get the comparison out the way. How does this compare to things like Cisco Secure Access, Prisma Access, FortiSASE, um, Cato Networks, all the SASE solutions that are out here? I'm going to tell you right now, this is not a replacement for any of those, right? If you already have, Prisma Access, FortiSASE, or Cisco Secure Access in your environment, don't even this is something to play with and get familiar with, but you are not going to replace any of those products with this. Not yet, at least. And if you know anything about Microsoft, they'll come in the game and give you a little solution, and eventually they'll start building on top of that, on top of that, on top of that. If you don't have a SASE solution though, and you are a Entra ID or Microsoft Office 365 Entra, that whole gambit customer, you may have the licenses already for this, so technically it's free for you. And that's where I think Microsoft is trying to get in. For people who don't have those more robust SASE solutions, we're going to give you something that allows you to get private access to your internal applications, and it's integrated with Entra and the whole Azure stuff. It's integrated with that fairly well, right? That's, I think, the play here. So from the whiteboard standpoint, let's talk about how it works from a technical. So, I like to do my whiteboard. So we got MS, Global Secure Access. And mind the pen there. So basically what this is, if you know anything, I did a video about resource connectors for Cisco Secure Access. If I have it, I'll put it up here at the top here, and you can watch that video. But that's basically what this is. So you'll have an end user over here. We'll just do hit. And then you'll have, let's say, Entra slash Azure. So let's go Entra slash Azure, depending on who you ask is what it's going to be called. And then in your data center, you would have this thing called a connector. Now, this connector is a piece of software that's going to be on a server. So this has to be like, you know, 2012 and above, right? 2012 and above. So what you do is you're going to install this connector on here, and it's going to do an outbound connection to Entra ID, right? Now, once that's set up, you're also going to have a client, the global secure client, on the user machine, right? And let's say you have, what color do I want to use here? Let's have green. You have some resources behind the scenes here that you want people to get to. So what you're going to do is once the connector does its outbound connection, it's going to use your internal DNS and then proxy your connections to your resources. So what it would look like is you have that client, you sign into your machine. Now it needs to be an Entra AD join machine, apparently in the requirements. But once you get that, it'll give you a token so you don't have to actually sign in again like you do with something like ZTNA module on secure access. When you sign in, you still have to sign into the module. It kind of gives you a token and automatically signs in to the global secure access client for you. So what you're going to end up doing is when you want to get to a resource, you will go to Entra ID. You'll get basically tunnel from Entra ID to the connector, and then the connector will proxy your connections to the resource, right? To any of your resources. And then obviously that communication coming back will go to the connector and back tunnel to you. So this is basically a tunneling mechanism here. It's all tunneling. And when you see the video, you'll see, I'll show you the forwarding profile. It'll say tunnel for everything. So this is basically what it is. Now, the problem for me here, and then why I say this is not going to actually, get rid of any of the more robust clients is this resource connector here, right? how many connections could this take before it actually starts causing instability issues, right? At least on the other platforms, you have a tunneling mechanism as well. You have a resource connector, and then you have a backhaul tunnel, which is like an IPsec tunnel, which can do more from a connection standpoint than these resource connectors. And if all you're going to do is put a bunch of resource connectors around, you got to be careful about how many connections that you're going to start flooding this thing with. Now, best practice wise, Cisco wants you to they want you to have more, not Cisco, Microsoft wants you to have more than one resource connector in here, so they can like load balance the connection. So I guess that's their way of getting around slamming one resource connector with a bunch of stuff. Um, but you know, do I think this could have some potential value? Yes. Do I think it's going to beat anything else anytime soon? No. If you're a small shop, you want to get to internal resources, this may be the play if you already have it from a licensing standpoint, because the other solutions are going to cost you a lot more money than this. But if you need like robust policies and stuff like that, go get yourself a true SASE solution. And when I say true SASE solution, I'm talking about your Cisco Secure Access, your Prisma Access, your FortiSAS, stuff like that. That's going to give you a lot more stuff. Now, with all those features comes a lot more complication, right? Compared to this. All right. So let's go into Entra right now, and I'll show you what it looks like. And then the next video after that, you'll see it from a client standpoint. All right. So here is the Entra tenant that I have here, and I'm already here at Global Protect or Global Protect. Now you see me saying Palo Alto stuff. Global Secure Access. So from a dashboard standpoint, as you can see, I do have some resources that I've already got to. Now they do have a web filtering component to this, so you can actually turn on the web filtering. I just turned on private access here, and then you'll get some details. Now I have two devices already activated because I AD joined them or Entra AD joined them. Now you don't see the web categories because I didn't turn on the web category feature, which is basically if you think of like Umbrella or something like that, it just proxies your web connections through Entra. So from a connect standpoint, the way they want you to do this is obviously you go to connect, and then you got your traffic forwarding profiles here, right? And you have internet access, you got, Microsoft Office 365 access, and then you have private access. The only thing I turned on was private access. I didn't do anything else. It doesn't make any sense to do anything else for right now, right? If you got other solutions that you kind of don't need to do you don't need to do internet access or Microsoft access. But if you don't have anything, you can turn on all three and kind of control what people can get to. And then obviously you have your client downloads. This is on two of my machines already. And then you have your remote networks that I did not play with yet, so I'm not really doing anything with remote networks. But the key here is the connector and sensor. So as you can see, I have a connector here. And this connector is actually, let me show you what that is. Go to my lab here real quick. That connector is, and you saw this lab a bunch of times. So that connector is actually this box right here that says MS Private Connector. So when you see the next video about from the client side, that machine it's not in this lab. It has no internal connection whatsoever. So what I'm going to actually do is proxy every one of my connections. I'm going to proxy a connection to my ICE GUI. I'm going to proxy connection to my FMC down here, and then I'm gonna be able to RDP into my AD server. That's what you're gonna see in the next video. But it's all gonna go through this connector, right? This is the resource connector that I talked about. You're gonna proxy everything from here. So once you have that connector, the next thing you need to do is create your private applications. Now there's two ways to do it. Most of the time you're gonna see people go, oh, go to quick access, right? They're gonna tell you, oh, go to quick access and create your connectors and stuff like that. What I like to do is do a enterprise application for this. So you go enterprise application, and then obviously I have my global secure access apps. So we're going to click on this application, all right? And then we have our conditional access. This conditional access is just, hey, you want to require MFA. So if I go to conditional access, and here's my conditional access policy, it just says you're required to do MFA. So let me get this out the way for this. Once you sign into your machine, if it's Entra or AD joined, you're going to get a token, and that's going to get passed to the global secure access client. So you're not going to be asked to do MFA because you're already trusted, because you're signed into the machine. So that's a little bit of difference. The only way you can do this is to force the sign in by revoking the sessions and while you're already signed in, but nobody's really gonna do that. This is why you should probably protect your sign in with something like MFA for your sign in, like Duo MFA for sign in. I did a video on that. I'll put that up here too, so you can see how to secure your Windows login with something like Duo. But let's say you want to do conditional access, this is where you put it up here, right? Now, the key thing here is the network access properties. So you click that, and it looks similar to that quick access that I just showed you. So basically, I have this app, named it this. I'm going to the default connector group, which is the connector that I already have now. Normally, you could create different connector groups, and I wouldn't use the default, but for this demo, I'm going to use the default. And then you're going to define your applications. Now, as you can see, I'm using all FQDNs here. So that means I'm going to have to use my internal DNS from the connector standpoint. I have to be able to resolve these FQDNs to IP addresses. One of the things that you need to make sure is your connector needs to be joined to the domain to utilize this. If you don't, now you have to just use IP addresses. If you wanted to add another segment, you would literally go add application segment. In the destination type, you have IP address, FQDN. You can do a subnet range or just IP to IP. Most people are going to use one or two, right? Or the first three. They're going to use the first three to get there. And then you can say what ports do you want to do and what protocols, it UDP or TCP. Like if I want to do SSH, I would say, hey, I'm gonna be able to SSH into all these switches and stuff like that. And I may actually, let's see, I may actually do that on a different. Let's do that. I'll do range. I will do 0, and then we'll do 24. We'll do SSH because those are technically the access switches here in the lab. Those are technically those. Now, I didn't do that in the video. I just randomly thought of that just now. But I got to show you actually how you create a application segment. Now, it will try to get there, and then you just say success. Once you see the success, that means it was able to connect to that subnet for SSH. So now you're good to go. After you do that, you assign your groups or users and groups. I only assigned one group, which is PLT private access. And I just put some user accounts in there and they will have access to this app. And then that's pretty much it. So after you do that, what you're going to see now is there's going to be a video of me showing you what it looks like from the client side. And then, you'll understand how this works fundamentally. So let's get to the client video and then we'll come back here after we're done. Hey guys, so I wanted to show you what this looks like on a AD joined machine. Now this is Entra ID joined or Entra AD joined. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what the private access solution looks like on a Windows machine for Entra ID. So first things first, I did install this already. So as you can see, the global secure client is connected. We're going to walk into here though. And as you can see, we're here, we are connected. And if I go to troubleshooting and I'm going to run some advanced tools here, wait for this to pop up. And then I just want to show you the forwarding profile that got pushed down from Entra ID to this machine here. Now remember, this is critical because this is what's going to forward the traffic to the connector and then to my resource. So as you can see here, we have we have my ICE servers, we have my FMC, and then we actually have a server that I can RDP to, and you can tell because port 443 is going to be tunneled for ICE. If I'm going to my FMC, it's going to be tunneled, and if I try to do RDP to that server, it's going to be tunneled. So now that you see how everything got pushed down, let's take a test and see if it works. So I'm going to go here. So I'm going to go to https iceprime.plt.com, and there is no, I don't have the certificate on here, so I don't trust it. But as you can see, I can log in. I am on the ICE server that is in my lab from a machine that is not connected to the lab, right? I don't have any kind of access to that lab, and I'm going through that global secure access client. So again, this goes with the idea that we're connecting through a resource connector to our resource that's on-prem. And let's try the FMC. So we'll do fmc.plt.com. As you can see, I can get to the FMC. Let's log in here. Hopefully I didn't figure that. So I'm at the FMC now. Not really sure what that came up. I'm at the FMC. And then last but not least, we are going to do RDP to that server. And as you can see, I can get to it. I'm not going to log in for this one because I don't want this to knock the screen off. Well, you know what? Let's try it and let's see what happens. And this is the actual server that is in my EVNG lab. So as you can see, and here we are. We are actually in the server. When it comes up, you can say, I believe this is the AD server. So this is me going through the connector and then ultimately going to the resource, which is in my lab. So as you can see, I'm here on that server right now. So I hope you appreciate this quick lab, a quick showing you of what it looks like for the Global Secure Access client for Entra ID private access on a Windows AD or Entra AD joined machine. Hopefully you're going to see the next video of me giving you a brief summary, but I appreciate you guys checking it out. Have a nice day. So that's Global Secure Access in a nutshell. As you can see, there are some moving parts that you just need to be familiar with to get this to work. But I think this is a good solution for people who want to dip their toe into this kind of SASE solution or private access solution without the major capital expenses of some of the major other SASE vendors. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. I'm probably going to put out more videos on this because this is fairly new, and the more I play around with it, I want to see how it compares to some of the other solutions. Like I said before, this is not a replacement for some of the major vendors, but it does have this use case. This is Don from Padlock Technology again. Thank you, and have a nice day.